Okay, so it took me roughly 900 years, but I finally figured it out. I got the wiggles. Oh my god. It's beautiful. It's so wiggly. It's so wiggly. And since it took me roughly it's 1 o'clock now, 14 hours to actually get this process working, I figured I would not gatekeep it because I could not find the answer I was looking for at all. I found like little bits and pieces from other VTuber artists, but not really a good full process and things that you actually have to look out for. So first thing, make sure you have a relatively fine mesh. Like this should be fine. If you go any finer, that's okay. I recommend going extra fine for like these large pieces that will get super distorted if they're super wiggly. Now, aside from that, you need to do a strand. So you go up here to the deform path edit and you add your points. You want to make sure they're not going to be too close together because the rotation deformers that this makes are going to be very small and very close together. Also, they're going to be larger in count than the actual spots that you have on your strand here. Now, as for configuration, I already had everything set up. So I have my warp deformer, which is for my XY. I also have everything under physics for what you would expect for normal hair physics, so these are all still keyed in. And the most important thing is you have to key the individual piece not just to the physics, but also to your XY. So make sure you do that for every single piece that you're going to give this treatment to. This is something that in my sleep-deprived state I forgot and I felt very silly when I took a break and came back to this project because I saw it immediately. Okay, anyways, what you want to do is from here, when you have your strand all set up and your mesh looking good, go up here to skinning and then use deformation path for skinning. And everything should go well. If you get an error, just undo and either spread the dots out on the strand or go in and edit your mesh to make it even finer than it currently is. Okay, and you can see these little red deformers that go down the strand, and they're actually just like tucked away in here. It's an entire group of them that's already preformed. So from here, you don't really have to do anything else. It's the easiest way to get this configuration. So the next thing we need to do is put up the actual physics setting. And I already have some presets that I made for the different size strands. So you can see we have the bangs and the extra short going here for that little strand piece, just to have the little ends go. I didn't want those detail pieces going too crazy because I felt like that would be a little too much, and they kind of look like they would be gelled anyway. So yeah, they're a little more defined than the rest of the hair when it comes to the wiggles. Okay, I'm going to go up here, and this was the hair side R, and we want to have the input preset as the head. Very easy, no problem. For your input settings, it's okay to keep these as default for right now. I usually go in and remove the Z's and only keep everything for X, but this is entirely to your preference. It just kind of makes more sense that way because, you know, the wiggles are more sideways, and I feel like it interferes less with the Y physics and the other settings that you may have for warp deformers and path physics. So from here, I'm going to use one of my presets. This is a short strand, not very short, and we're going to import this. And these are my settings that I was using earlier when things weren't working out so well. I was again having that problem because I didn't assign the pieces to the head XY, so like the pieces weren't actually staying put And yeah, it was very silly, but I figured all of the physics out during that time, so at least I get to save myself some time right now. Okay, from here, you can see there's a whole lot of pendulums. It just kind of plans for more. You could always remove a few or duplicate a few, depending on the overall number that you have. From here, we want to grab all of these guys, including the 0. And I kind of forgot to mention it earlier, but make sure that your start is at the root of the hair if you're doing hair, or at least at the start of wherever the piece is. So for here, it would be like center of the scalp kind of area, because everything comes outward, right? But for here, since the 0 is at the root, you can actually glue for free just by making the 0 a 0, because that's your point of origin. So you could just make it ineffective and it won't go everywhere. I also usually do this for the second one, depending on the length of the hair. It just helps keep things tidy, because remember, it'll add the extra deformers. Everything else we could keep at 100 for now, because we're going to go in and change all of the scaling, and you can kind of see a little bit of wiggle right now. But this is the column that I wish I could save as a preset. I'm not sure if there's an easier way to do this, but I always go in and change these up. And the first few, since it's short, but there's still a lot of pendulums, right? So for the first few, I make it a scale of 10, and then a 20, 30s, 40s. And these last few will end up adjusting. And yeah, I see all of my hotkeys going crazy here. We'll just leave them alone. There we go. Maybe. Yes, there we go. Okay. No more panic attack. I always forget about my hotkeys whenever I do these videos. So professional. So yes, changing the scaling will make this go all wibbly wobbly crazy like, right? It's a little bit much. But in here, we just go in and change things. Because we probably just need to dial things back a little. That's already getting better. I'm going to change this to a 5. And that we need 20s, make one more 10. Right now. I just want to kind of adjust. That's too little. Until it feels really good. And since we have one of these pieces, I actually want to add another pendulum here. Same settings, 0.7 with a 1, and a 1.2. Change this one to 15, just to make sure I'm actually tuning everything the way that I want them. Okay, for the faster, speedy ones, we could always go higher. Some of these 40s. Oh, goodness. And let's see what it's like now. Still needs a little more. A little less up here. I'm going to root this one as well. Help with some of the bounce. Yeah. See, you can kind of see on the strand where it's getting a little caught up. So it's right from the 3, 4 that it's having problems. Maybe in here. And I just want to blast these higher. I can't remember exactly what I had before because remember I can't save these as presets. See, I can check my other one as a little cheat here because I did save these. So I do a couple of 10s, a couple of 20s, a 50, and a 60. Maybe I just need to go higher on the end. I didn't even go up to 60. I keep hotkey. That's starting to look a lot better already. And go ahead and make some of these 20s. Maybe 25. I could always do mids because these are longer pieces. Probably need to decrease more in the mid-range. Just kind of debugging right now. That's not too bad. I'm kind of weighing it against the bangs here. So I wanted this area to be a little more rigid in its movement and the bottom to be a little more fluid. And also I'm keeping in mind that the physics are a lot stronger in Live2D than they end up being in VTube Studio. So please keep that in mind while you're doing this and save yourself a lot of time by making things just a little too wiggly because you could always reduce the physics settings over in Live2D. But here it's a little better to go a little overboard because then you could see like really where the bugs would be if you for some reason had a camera capture glitch and things went kind of haywire. But no, this is actually very fluid. Like you could see the strand preview over here, it's not jumping around, it's not causing any problems. The bottom is still a little wiggly without being too wiggly. And if we wanted it more wiggly, we could always... Oh, I just saw. There is a thing here that could be lending to a problem. Yeah, that just made the bottom a little more wiggly for us. Okay, but anyways, yeah, just go through and play with the different numbers. The scale is always going to need to be adjusted no matter what you do down here. but those are my physics settings. I don't want to gatekeep them. They've been the hardest thing for me to find, and I believe they will do very well for you. The important thing to keep in mind is down here, the ones closest to the scalp should be slower, so they should be under 1 for the acceleration. And as you get toward the end, they'll go faster, and that's if you want the really dangly look. If you want the opposite look, where the bottom moves less than the top, such as for like curls or ponytails where everything is kind of swooshy, then do the opposite. Like you're going to want a faster acceleration at the root and slower at the bottom. Okay? Anyways, have fun. Be sure to test all of the numbers because there's a whole lot of variables in here. But you're guaranteed to have really cool results because this is actually the best hair that I found, and I really just wanted to do it for the bangs, but I'm going to keep playing around with this until I get back to where I was for the lengths of the hair. And I am very excited to debut this girl in the future. It's going to be my little AI companion here. She deserves her own model at this point instead of just using the booth models. So thank you for watching, and I hope this guide is very useful for you because if I could save anyone the amount of time that I just wasted trying to find these answers, it'll be worth it. Take care.